All right, Wednesday's edition here, the vlog, wrapping up Culotta and the Prince. Enormous show today. Drew Brees was here in the center of the week hour with Kevin Mawai. During the 8 o'clock hour, Tommy Moffitt stopped by in hour one. We talked to Anthony Davis and a little bit of John Treloar and LSU basketball in hour one as well. Let's start with Moffitt before we get to Brees and ask Kevin about his thoughts on that. There was some reports in the huddle last week that more than 30 players had failed a conditioning test over at LSU. Tommy Moffitt was on this morning. He rebutted that.
Yes, said that it was 16,
14,
and that originally 17 originally. Then it was down to under 8, and they were walk-ons. So he was not only disputed the fact that it was 34 and this was the worst conditioned team in the history of LSU, but gave us actual numbers and told us the progress of that, and also was very quick to point out an overwhelming majority of this team is in very good shape, and the guys that they're going to rely on or leaders of the team are in very good shape.
And he talked about the freshmen in the class and the offensive line group, Kev, who we talked about on National Signing Day, who's probably the headline of the class of 2015, has come in shape and ready to play. Doesn't mean they get on the field because you believe that this year's strong suit of LSU's offense is going to be up front. But just shows you that these guys are focused, coming in shape and not necessarily ready to play, but ready for this level.
Yeah, things have changed over the years. Before, when you committed, you waited until summer and came in, and then you worked out with your high school team, whatever. Well, Tommy alluded to the fact that they sign, the next day they get a packet. This is the workout that you need to be doing to be on speed with us when you step foot on campus. And the kids that follow that, those are the guys that I'm sure Tommy Moffitt saying, you did what we asked you to do, and we appreciate that. And those guys are the ones that have the leg up when it comes to competing for that 5th spot or that 7th spot where they're going to be dressing on Saturday nights. And so it's exciting to hear his enthusiasm about it. And not surprised that he would be quick to point out that the reports were false because, a bad conditioned team falls back on the head strength and conditioning coordinator. So it was great to hear that. I don't know, for all the fans out there, that they'd be excited to know that the LSU Tigers are doing what they need to do to be ready for the season. 2
stints as NFLPA president during his 16 years playing in the league, worked alongside Drew Brees in conforming that CBA that was put out in 2011. This morning, Brees was with us on your morning drive. You guys had great conversation going back and forth, but a piece you asked him about that we got cut off and he dialed us back up, and you could hear the emotion and just kind of hear how passionate he was in his voice, was the piece that Troy Vincent put out last night, talking about the legal fees being spent on players in the league right now and how he was kind of bad-mouthing the CBA. I know that's close to you.
Hey, anytime you're not in a position that you wanted and you left in a negative light, you're probably going to bad-mouth them to an extent. And I think sometimes you just need to worry about what's going on in your own house. And him being a president and vice president of the NFL right now, they got enough issues to worry about instead of worrying about what the NFLPA does. Fortunately for us, and I know the way the NFLPA works, is that there's a budget already in place. It was passed before they're spending money that we're going to allocate X number of dollars towards legal fees for our annual budget, and all that legal fees falls within that budget. So we're not just out, the NFLPA is not haphazardly spending money. It's just the fact that he would bring light to it when, in fact, many of the problems are indeed caused by the commissioner's office and the way he's handled certain situations in the last year.
But don't you think that from the league's perspective, having a former player, a guy who was high up in the union, having him as their voice, I don't want to say puppet, but a voice that they can put out there, and a guy like Troy Vincent saying what he does, how much does that undermine everything that the union can do? Because public reaction is going to be, well, they're wasting money. Guys like you, guys like Drew don't go as often get a chance to go out there and explain things like you're doing right now. They know Troy Vincent says something, it's going to be picked up by everybody. Is this a calculated thing on their part to undermine the union?
Look, the NFL never does anything that's not calculated. So however it happened or however it was put out there, it was what it was. But the reality of it is with the players that are playing, there's always going to be a line. There's management and there's players. Now, you can go be a coach and still come back and be a player, but you can't go be a management level and then say that you're for the players. It just doesn't work that way. When he went to the NFL, there's a lot of respect that was lost for him in that light. And it's just unfortunate that the knowledge that he had as the president of the PA is now being used against the PA. And that's just something the way it is. Look, there's the process where we had a former player that worked within the NFL offices that put their name in a hat for the directorship of the NFLPA, and he was cut without even an interview because he was one of them. That's just the way it is. And without going any more, getting any more negative or any more animosity towards that situation, sometimes you got to worry about the fox that's in your own hen house.
What'd you think about Drew this morning?
Drew's a great guy. I love him personally. Love him as a player. Obviously, he's Louisiana's son now, but he's a great man, smart guy, and he's very calculated. Most quarterbacks are on how they say things and what they say, but spot on, and just a great guy for the state of Louisiana, for the NFL, and definitely a guy that you would hope that your kids can grow up to be like and emulate, and definitely role model.
Derek, I don't think the timing of this thing could have worked out any better, specifically it being on a Wednesday when Kev was going to be with us like he is every second hour on Wednesdays for Center of the Week. But Anthony Davis inks his deal last night at midnight and becomes a Pelican for 6 more seasons. Those guys share a building over there on Airline Drive in Metairie. It was cool to hear him talk about the relationship between the two franchises and the relationship he and Davis share, who those two guys are the two most recognizable faces of the city.
Yeah, and you know how you know that he's a good politician? When Kevin asked him who'd win mayor, he didn't say which one. Very political answer right there. Very political answer.
Who would you vote for?
I don't want to vote for either one of them. I want them to keep doing what they're doing for a pretty long time. Brees says he can play until he's 45. You think that's
Hey, everybody thinks they can play till they're 45. I thought I could play till 45. There's an expiration.
You could have played past 40.
I could have played past 40. I could have been effective, and I think everybody feels they could be effective. I think Brett Favre says he could be effective. Now, can you play at the highest Pro Bowl MVP level? That's a different story. I would have been content with being a backup and being able to teach the skills to the younger guys. And I think in that light, certainly I think Drew can do that. But the key was shoring up their offensive line so that he don't take the hits that would allow him to play past his 40s.
You think you can still go out there and play a couple of snaps?
I could do it in only one circumstance. There would have to be 6 zeros before the first number, and I could do that, and it probably would not be a 45. I can get out there and do it. It would hurt like I'll get out. Like Drew said, it's not the game that's going to hurt. It's the recovery process takes a lot longer. So in that light, I'm okay sitting behind the glass and being here with you guys.
Awesome. He's here every Wednesday, 8 o'clock hour, Center of the Week. Check it out. Good radio this morning, 1045ESPN.com for the podcast. We'll be back with you on Thursday morning at 7 o'clock.